Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023. And as we've been for the past couple of weeks, we are highlighting Black-owned businesses as it is Black-owned Business Month, the month of August. We also have a theme, and we're talking how important it is to support Black-owned businesses beyond August, just like we've talked about beyond June and Pride and whatnot. We need to support Black-owned businesses all the time. We'll go in toward the end of the show and do our greetings. I see a lot of folks are in this morning. It's good to see you in the room this morning. I'm excited to have a young man that I heard about through the, I heard about him through the Davis system. We were talking about what businesses we wanted to highlight during the month of August. And we were talking about Rosemark and other businesses, and Ricardo's business, which is a parking business, transportation service. Actually, well, he's going to tell us because there's a few things that they're doing. So I'm excited to hear about something I would just call multiple streams of income that we need as entrepreneurs and folks that move in business space and being Black owned. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce to some and present to others. Ricardo, is it Luis, to get it right?
It's Ricardo Lewis.
Ricardo Lewis. Okay. But welcome to the Java Cafe, brother. It's an honor to have you here, sir. We definitely wanted to highlight Black-owned businesses, and the Davis system was aware of your Black excellence. And so welcome to the Java Cafe. Please introduce yourself, say good morning to the folks. And what's today? Tuesday. We usually do Testimony Tuesday. And so tell us in one word for something that you have a testimony about. I don't know.
Well, good morning, everyone. Jimmy, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here to talk about my business and just, how we got to where we got to. You asked me to say a testimony, and there's so many things that go through my head. I think one thing that I just want to show and echo and display is that the city of Boston, we're not known for being a Black-friendly city, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship and contracting with private entities, state government, and also local government. But one of the things I can say is that things are changing. And as you guys listen and continue to understand where we are and where we're going, you'll see that change is really happening. It's not just happening on one surface. It's happening on all different levels and all different industries. And today you have, someone in their early 30s that's going to tell you how they're taking over and moving the parking and transportation industry in the city of Boston. So if that don't motivate you and that can't show you that we really making things happen, then I don't know what else I can do.
All right. Well, you gave the testimony, and let the church say amen. And so let me jump right in, because I love how you said moving in and taking over. And so tell us about your business, the name of the business, and we'll go into you had a $500,000 contract with the NAACP convention. We're going to talk about that, because I'm curious if you've had other contracts outside of Boston that were as lucrative or more. And when I have to figure out when we're going to broadcast this, but I had a chance to interview Rose there, and she talked about that this was the first $1 million contract she got at home. And so, though Boston is changing, it has not changed. And so tell us about the company and sort of the overall umbrella, because you did mention quickly in our pre-convo that there's a few things you're doing. So tell us about the company, the name, and just its origin and why you chose this particular service.
All right, let's go. Let's do it. My name is Ricardo Lewis. I'm the owner of Privé Parking. Today, we're a parking solution transportation management company. Every time I say that, people always say, what exactly does that mean? So I'm going to dive right into it. in 2012, I started this company, Privé Parking. And when I first started it, it was just a valet parking company. People always ask me, well, how did you get into valet parking, right? And so I'm originally was born in Newark, New Jersey. I came to Boston for school. I was attending University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. And I lived on campus, and I come from a working class family, and I wanted to make money while I was living on campus. And so the one thing I had was a driver's license, and I convinced a buddy of mine that we should go and apply to become valet parking attendants in the city of Boston. Right. Reason why we said the city of Boston, everyone knows Boston's where all the money at. It is the heart of the economic development that drives this state. And so we figured, hey, if there's going to be cool, celebrities, athletes, people movers and shakers in the city of Boston, we want to work there in that city. And so we applied to a big company at the time. At the time, the name of the company was Ultimate Parking. It was one of the biggest valet parking companies in the restaurant division in the city of Boston. We got interviewed, and then they hired us at the same time. So what we would do is, my mom lived in Brockton at the time. So Thursday, we would have our last day of class. We would take the train in, go into Brockton. From Brockton, we would take the train, the commuter rail into Boston, walk over to the restaurants we were working, and we would perform our job duties. The cool thing about valet parking is it's not really rocket science. Anyone can really do valet parking, right? You just literally, it's more of a customer service base and you're also just moving the cars from point A to point B. The cool thing about the valet parking industry is you never know who's going to come in that valet zone, whether it's a local, government official, a celebrity, your favorite athlete from the Boston Celtics, or someone who's visiting playing the Boston Celtics, right? It was like really exciting because it was like, you had all this energy that's going into the energy, and it's kind of like, who's going to come in today, right? And the great thing about being a valet parking attendant, if Tom Brady pulls up in your valet zone, guess what? You have an opportunity to talk to Tom Brady one-on-one, right? And what you do with that, that's what you do with that. And the funny story is, I actually got a chance to meet Tom Brady by going into one of the restaurants. So that's why I mentioned that. So with that being said, I did that my junior year and also my senior year in college. And it was a team of two. So it was me and my friend. Now, the one thing about my friend, he loved cars. He could drive all these cars, stick shifts, tell you if they're Lamborghinis, type of Lamborghinis. He knows how to work them, all this and that. Me, I didn't care anything about the cars. I just cared that the customers are happy, and when they left, they gave us a good tip that we were able to go back on campus and live a pretty good life and have a pretty good party, right? So that's why I cared. I focused more on the customer and the customer service. So we were a great duo. So we pretty much created a name for ourselves in Boston. Ricardo the Valet. That's how people knew me, as Boston. We started in the South End. So we would do all the restaurants in the South End. We would even do restaurants like Darryl Corner Bar and Kitchen. We would do restaurants like Hemsley, which is no longer there, Toro, Union Park Grill. We did pretty much all the South End restaurants because every day they would just put you in a new location. But what happens is, when you're working there for a long time, you knew where you were on Thursdays, you knew where you were on Fridays, you knew where you were on Saturdays and Sundays. So people know you. The great thing about the valet parking industry, people that end up going to these restaurants, they go there quite frequently, right? That becomes their favorite restaurant. So whether they're bringing their kids there, their co-workers there, there's a celebration, they're celebrating something, they tend to go there. And what I saw was the interaction I had with the customer was an opportunity to build a relationship, right? So how it would start is, someone drives a Bentley. Bentley comes in, it's a nice yellow drop top Bentley. Hey, sir, beautiful car, X, Y, and Z. You treat that customer for certain type of cars want to be in the front, and that's okay as long as they pay for it. And so what ends up happening, they keep coming in and coming in. You don't need to ask that customer no more if he wants to be in the front. He wants to be in the front, right? And then he'll probably tell you his name, and then he'll ask for your name. And these little small conversations end up leading into meaningful relationships. And so that's how we were really able to take advantage of the interaction with the customer.
Let me ask one quick question, and you can go on. Were you still with Ultimate?
Yeah, I was still with Ultimate. This is during college. Yeah, this is during college. So what ended up happening was, these customers that come in, they're usually VIP customers. And so the VIP customers have really good relationship with either the manager or the owner. So when the manager or the owner comes up to them and say, hey, how was dinner? They'll say, dinner was great. By the way, your valet is awesome. The manager or the owner don't know who the valet is, because believe it or not, restaurants, it has nothing to do with the valet parkers. Right? They just hire a company,
contracted. Yep.
Exactly. And they know that they have people outside their restaurant. Sometimes they don't even know who the people are, or they don't even know you by your first name. They just know that that's the valet. And so what happened was, when these customers kept coming in and giving us compliments and feedback, obviously the manager and the owners wants to know who's outside my restaurant. I want to thank them because they do a pretty good job, in which, we get really good reviews. So that's how that happened. So once I understood the operations in the parking industry, I graduated college. I graduated college. I'm excited. I got my degree in finance and economics. So when I graduated, I thought I was going to live the Wolf on Wall Street lifestyle. Work in Wall Street. Get a finance job. Live that life. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, but I was able to get a job in 2012, right when I graduated, actually in Seaport. And it was the first tower I got a job, One Marino Park Drive. And it was for a law firm company called Fish and Richardson at the time. So I was in the finance department, and I did that for about 6 months. And what I realized was corporate America wasn't for me. It just wasn't my thing. I didn't like the corporate ladder, being behind a desk, plugging in numbers. I was always an employee that you couldn't find in his cubicle because I was always talking to everyone and trying to figure out what's going on, right? And so from there on out, it was a long week, and I'll tell you how private parking started. It was a long weekend. I was the only one in the office. When you're in corporate America and you're the rookie, that's what they call you. That means you don't get the privilege like everyone else does. So when there's long vacations, that means you're in there all day making sure everyone else work's getting done. So I got a phone call from my buddy who was a senior when I graduated. He calls me and he goes, "Hey, Ricardo, you haven't been here in 6 months. This customer came in," and customers always come in and they're always asking about you and what you're doing. They knew you were in college. They want to know, what is life after college? What's Ricardo doing? And this particular customer came in and he asked for your contact info. I don't want to give him your contact info. He's in the restaurant right now eating. Do you mind if I share it with him? And I was like, "Who's the customer?" He told me who the customer was. I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Share it with him. Tell him to give me a call. I'd love to follow up with him." He's like, "Ricardo, believe it or not, no matter how good or how bad of a job we do, people talk about you. They always bring you up." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." He goes, "To be honest with you, man, you should start your own valet parking company." I'm like, "Brother, please, we are in the city of Boston. I know nothing about nothing. You think I'm gonna go in here and start a valet parking company? Come on. You like you tripping. I'm trying to get out this office. I'm trying to party with you guys after. Like, you wasting my time. I'm gonna get back to you after this, right?" So I hang up the phone, literally, and I call this my aha moment. And everyone has this moment, and I, whether you're spiritual, whatever you believe in, you get this vision in your head. And this vision in your head is so impactful that it really makes you feel, see, and touch what you're visioning in your head. And that's what happened. I saw myself starting a valet parking company and hiring my friends and parking cars and doing a good job and just growing it from the South End, from restaurant to restaurant, that it was so deep in my mind that I said, "You know what? Let me push all this work aside. I'm in this office. I'm by myself. I'm in the finance department. It's about a little bit after 5 p.m. I got all this work I got to do. I'm going to be here after hours. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Google this. I'm going to Google how to start a valet parking company for dummies." Because at the time, that was like the trend. Like, if you wanted to know how to cook something, you would say how to do it for dummies. Or, yeah, there was books all about for dummies. And I just wanted the simplest form. So I Googled this. And all these articles came about, like things that you need to start a valet company, insurance, uniforms, valet stands, the operations, right? I end up staying in that office for like 3 hours. I'm in the office for 3 hours, printing out all these articles, going back and forth to the printer. And literally at 9 p.m. when I left that office, I said, "I'm never coming back here. This is it. I'm done. I'm going to do this." And the next day was Saturday, and I ended up going to all the restaurants that knew me. And, they were excited to see me, like, "Ricardo, we haven't seen you in months. How you doing? Are you coming back?" I'm like, "Nah, I ain't coming back." But let's get straight to the point. How about this? If I was able to start a valet parking company and I was going to be outside your restaurant and you guys know the work that I can provide and the service I can provide, would you consider working with me? Most restaurants were on the fence. "Well, we don't know, Ricardo. You got to have the insurance. Where are you going to park the cars? You're great at being a valet, but now you're talking about owning it. That's kind of iffy." And everyone kind of had their reasons on, well, we don't know, right? This one restaurant in the South End, which is there today, 1704 Washington Street. The name of that restaurant is Toro, and that was owned by Ken and Jamie. They was the first one to give me my opportunity, and their manager at the time was Jen Fields, and they gave me the opportunity to be their first client. When they came on as my first client, it was the best thing that happened to me. Not because I was successful right away, not because I made money right away. I wasn't successful right away. I struggled. I was making $200 a month. I was living at home. I had the bootstrap. I was a friend that all my friends was laughing at. Like, "Look, he want to be a small business owner. He can never go out and do anything because he's struggling living at home at his mom's house," right? So I wasn't financially successful at the time, right? I wasn't, I didn't have all this recognition and this and that. But what happened was I was able to learn, and my break came when Toro became the #1 restaurant in the city of Boston. When they became the #1 restaurant in the city of Boston, there was an article about them. Toro was on the front page of the Globe. There was a picture. And within that article, there was a picture of, I think, the valet parking sign by Privé Parking. And I took that as a marketing opportunity. I was like, man, this is my company right here. Literally, this is my company right here in this article. So what I did was I bought a whole bunch of copies. And I used to walk around up and down Mass Ave in the South End, and I had a book bag on. I still have a book bag. If you see me, you might see me with a book bag today. And I used to carry around all these newspaper articles. And what I did was I went to all his competitors that wanted to be like him. And I would literally go in there. I'd be like, look, the #1 restaurant, Toro, uses Privé Parking. Don't you want to be like the #1 restaurant? Whatever it is you're paying a monthly fee, I guarantee I can discount it by 10%. And that's how I was able to really get in that market. And I started off with 1 restaurant, 2 restaurants, 3 restaurants. All of a sudden, I got 10 restaurants, and I got a bunch of my friends working for me. And you see in Privé Parking signs all throughout the South End. Today, that's grown. We're a parking solution transportation management company.
Wait. Hold on. You can't. Everybody's in the comments talk about this interview has me sitting on the edge of my seat and all that. You can't just smoothly transition into the Privé. And today we're also give us a little.
All right, we'll go a little bit backwards. All right. So as people are seeing in the South End, and the South End neighborhood is very small neighborhood. People know you, right? So people got a chance to know, oh, that's that valet guy who has this company and X, Y, and Z. And I was doing these restaurants. These restaurants are considered fine dining restaurants, right? They're very popular restaurants. So a lot of people going in and out of them. I'll tell you what a big break happened. There was a VIP client that would attend Toro quite often. She was an amazing woman, great. She saw something in me and she goes, this is your company? And I was like, yeah. She goes, I remember you in college as a valet and I'm just really impressed now. It's your company. And I was like, well, thank you. And she was like, I would love for you to work with us. And I didn't know what she did as a professional. I didn't know what she did as a professional. I was like, listen, I would love to work with you. What you got for me? And so she goes, well, I'm a GM of a dealership here in Boston. I go, really? And I go, what dealership is that? She goes, Herb Chambers BMW. And I go, you're the GM for Herb Chambers BMW? And she goes, yeah. She goes, I would love for you to come in and I would learn more about what do you do with parking. I kind of have an idea. There's some issues going on over at our dealership. So she invited me. I went to Herb Chambers BMW in Brighton, Alston. And when I got there, I realized they were so busy. But the thing was, they didn't know how to utilize the space, right? They had all these cars coming in for service and sales.
You don't just valet, you provide parking solution. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So that was my opportunity. That's how the parking solution evolved. That's when I realized we were just bigger than the valet parking, right? And so I'm over there at Herb Chambers BMW dealership talking. And mind you, I had no experience or I didn't really understand what I was doing, right? I didn't really understand the bigger picture. So I'm going in there and I'm talking about what we do with the valet. And as I'm talking and getting a walkthrough and a tour, I realized, hold on, this is a nightmare. You guys are a car dealership and you should be focused on just selling cars, but the operations and the flow of traffic and the cars coming in and out, it's a nightmare. I can fix all of this better than you guys can with some valets. And so with that being said, they said, could you share that idea? What does that mean? And so I created like an operation plan. And at 23 years old, I was able to sell Herb Chambers a $420,000 contract.
And how old and how much? Say it again. Hold on. We want to get this so it can be clipped out later and put it on a nice reel.
At 23 years old.
Hold on. All right, go ahead.
At 23 years old, I was able to close a $420,000 contract with Herb Chambers BMW. And that's why I saw the big potential in Privé Parking. Now, can I go fast forward to where we are today?
Oh, you can do whatever you want. Go ahead.
So today, with that being said, that taught us a lot, right? That really opened up the doors and that showed the capabilities of what we can do. By the way, at the time, I think Herb Chambers was worth $2.1 billion at the time. So the fact that a billionaire was able to do a contract with a local Black company back in 2013, 14, that shows you what was really going on behind closed doors, right? And this is something that this wasn't in the papers. This wasn't being spotlighted. This is something that I was, I had a crew. We were going in every day and we were figuring it out and we were working it and we were figuring it out. And from us being there, we were able to also provide other services. And so
hold on. One of the viewers, my brother Rob, said, I feel like I just watched a Matt Damon movie.
This ain't a movie. This is real life. This is just a story that I'm telling. It's a story that I'm telling. It's a story that needs to be told. and I'm sharing it. I'm happy to have the opportunity to share it. So let me also explain what happens. So remember, guys, remember the time in Boston. This is between 2012 to 2014. Within that time frame, Boston had a big change. We were so used to Mayor Menino, Mayor Marty Walsh comes in office, right? So I'll tell you what happened. So remember, guys, I used to be the local kid who used to walk up and down Mass Ave trying to figure out where do I park the cars, because the thing about the restaurant industry, you can get the contract from the restaurant. There's two sides to it. You got to figure out where you're going to park them cars. So if you get 100 cars, 10 cars, or 20 cars.
Hold on for 1 second. If you see me look a little distracted, I'm texting a couple of people talking about you need to hop on right now. Go ahead, sir.
So, like I said, so we got our big break and a new mayor comes into town, Mayor Marty Walsh. And Mayor Marty Walsh had something called, he was attending something called the Black Business Dinner. It's a Black Men Business Dinner. It's something that they throw, and he was
Black
attending.
Men's Dinner Group, of which I'm a part. Shout out to Emerson Foster, Anna Foster, and oh Jesus, he's gonna kill me. Paul Francisco, all of them. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jimmy, for correcting me. Yes. So I'm walking up and down Mass Ave, and I meet a gentleman, a local guy, Bill Singleton. And Bill Singleton approaches me and he goes, "Hey, don't you have a business?" And I'm like, "Yes, Bill, I got a business." He goes, "You need to go to this thing that the mayor's going to." And I literally looked at Bill and I'm like, "Bill, why do I care what the mayor has to say where he's going to? I'm trying to grow my business." Mind you, I'm 23 years old. I'm focused on growing my business and thinking this is all I care about, right? And he's like, "That's the problem with you young folks. You never want to listen. Now you need to go wear a suit and tie and come to this event and you need to talk about your business." And I go, "Bill, you're yelling at me in Mass Ave. I look crazy. I'll go if you just stop yelling." He's like, "Good, I'll see you there." So obviously, wear my suit and tie. I go to this event at the YMCA on Huntington Ave. Now, it's about an hour-long event. Mayor Marty Walsh comes in, but he came in the last 20 minutes. And so when he comes in the last 20 minutes, he gives a speech, which is about 10 minutes long. And then that means he only has up to 5 to 8 minutes to take questions, which realistically means that he can only take about 2 to 3 questions, right? And so with that being said, I walk in this, I'm looking around, I'm one of the youngest persons in the room. Everyone's talking about the business and what's going on. And I looked at it as an opportunity to leverage myself and leverage the company. So Mayor Walsh comes in with his entourage, he does his whole speech, and he talks about diversity and how he's going to enforce diversity in all these different industries. He talked about tech, real estate development, retail, and et cetera. But one of the industries I realized he didn't mention was the parking industry. So he was like, at the end of his speech, he only had time to take 3 questions. So I go running up to the front and I put my hand up and I was the last question. Now I had no idea what I was going to say, but I told myself, man, you got to go up there and say something so these people will remember you. Yes. So I said something that was similar to this. I said, "Listen, Mr. Mayor Walsh, I appreciate you being here. I know that you talked about all these different industries from life science to real estate development to retail to tech, but I noticed you forgot one particular industry, which is the parking industry." I said, "Mr. Mayor Walsh, let me ask you a question. How many Black-owned businesses are in the parking industry?" And he was very confident, grabbed his microphone, and he says, "There's none." I said, "Well, Mr. Mayor Walsh, my name is Ricardo Lewis, and I'm a Black-owned business in the parking industry based here in Boston." And he kind of got a little bit, wow, yeah.
I know how Marty. I just texted him and told him that he needed to try to hop on Twitter.
So he goes, "Wow, who is this kid?" So then he sends over his team to me, and now I'm nervous because I'm like, man, the mayor didn't know that. Did I embarrass him? Did I do something wrong? And he sends over his group, and they're like, "Mayor Walsh would like to talk to you. Do you have a card?" I was kind of hesitant to give him the card because I was like, I don't know if I want to give him the card because they might, exactly. So I end up giving him the card. And 3 days after, I kid you not, I get a phone call, and I think it said United States 0000. And
it's either unknown number or United States or
So I pick up the call, and the conversation went a little something like this. It was like, "Hey, Ricardo, this is Mayor Walsh. I'm available at this time, this particular date. Love to see you in my office. Have a good day." And it was very quick.
Yeah.
And I was like, on the phone, I said, "Hold on, you didn't ask me if I was available, what I'm doing, what days work for me." So I'm a little bit nervous, but I attend and I go to his office. And I've never been inside City Hall, never been inside the mayor's office. I'm nervous, I'm sweating. The secretary's giving me towels and I'm wiping my face. And, because I have no idea what's going on. I'm just trying to start my business and grow my business in Boston. And I don't know if the mayor likes me or he doesn't like me, right? But I know he's a powerful individual in the city. And so it was my turn, and my heart's beating out of my chest. And I walk in this office, and the first thing I noticed when I walk in the office, he has like a floor to ceiling glass, and he has like the best view of City Hall. And I don't think most people realize how beautiful of a view the mayor has in their office. So that was kind of like, wow, this cement looking building. And he got this, amazing view of City Hall that oversees the city of Boston. And he has a little lounge area in the front of his desk. And so I sit down and he sits down, he undoes his tie, buttons up his shirt, and I go, oh man, he's gonna let me have it. And he goes, who the hell are you? And I tell him who I am. And this is how the conversation happens. And this is how I was able to understand Boston and how to really maneuver with his support on getting into different industries and being introduced to certain developers in the city of Boston, which we have partnerships today. So with the parking solution, like I said, we manage parking garages and parking lots.
Hold on. I need you. You got to do better. Everybody's talking about you being a great orator and this story and a movie and all this other stuff. You got to just do a little bit better with these hot cliff. And you just transition into the next thing. Like, no, you got to let us down.
All right. So I'm in Marty's office. He's asking me, who am I? I'm nervous as hell. I'm 23 years old. And I tell him the story that I told you guys. I told him how I started in the valet industry, who I was, where I came from, the school I attended, what my vision was, and how I was moving this thing forward. And he was very impressed, and he was kind of upset with himself that he didn't know who I was or what I was doing. And so he said, Ricardo, how can I help you? And I said, well, Marty, you can help me because Seaport at the time, remember, I had my first job in Seaport. I was the first tower in Seaport, One Marina Park Drive. And the only reason why I knew Seaport very well, when I used to drive through from Brockton, it was all industrial, just parking lots. That's all it was over there. I remember I was like, oh, this place is not attractive at all. But it was a good opportunity to cut through U-Haul and go down Seaport. And so I said, Marty, in Seaport right now, there's no parking operator. There's people down there managing parking lots and parking garages, but there's not really much going on. I would like the opportunity to, because I knew the plans and the vision, because as I was working for this law firm, Fish and Richardson, they had the plans of what was going to happen in Seaport, 5 to 10 years from now. So I knew Seaport was going to blow up.
So it was intended for you to be there for that 6 months, but go ahead.
Exactly. And so that's why I said, I want Seaport. And so when I said I want a Seaport, he goes, I'm going to introduce you to all the developers in Seaport. And so this is what happened. So now I got introduced to all these developers in Seaport. And mind you guys, just remember the time. This is between 2013 to like 2015, 2016. I'm meeting all these guys. Nothing was really happening, right? It was kind of just talk. I'll go to these meetings, talk. Good job, Ricardo. You're doing the valet thing, and that's great. So what I think was they saw me as a valet parking operator. They didn't see me as parking solution, transportation management yet, right? And I had to show them that what we were capable of. And so with everything going on, I just kept following up with them. I had that one thing about me, ladies and gentlemen, do not give me your number. If you give me your number, I am going to utilize it. I will text you. I will call you. I will leave voicemails. I will follow up. Don't tell me you're going to get back to me by Tuesday. If Tuesday comes, you don't get back to me, I'm calling you Wednesday. I'm calling you Friday. And then I'm calling you on Sunday after church. That's the type of guy that I am. And so with that meaning, I was very persistent, just very persistent and determined. And these developers were literally like, listen, Ricardo, we going to get back to you. I promise. Stop calling and stop showing up. We going to get back to you. And eventually what happened was just kept at it for many years, kept at it. As you guys all know, COVID happened. When COVID happened, everything kind of went out.
Nobody was outside. And so being in that business.
Exactly. Now you also have to understand, I'm in the hospitality industries. So if the hotels and restaurants are shut down and slowing down, just imagine what that means for the parking and the valet. Right? When they have to cut expenses, we're the first ones to go. You get what I'm saying? We're the first ones to go because they're going to rely on Ubers. They're going to rely on the mobility of taking a bicycle, walking, taking a train to their restaurants because they're not going to take on valet is not a need. You don't need valet to be a successful restaurant, right? It's something that you want to provide to added value to your customers. So just imagine how our industry was hit. to a certain point that I had to say, I don't think I can do this anymore because I don't see myself continuing moving forward. How am I going to continue private parking? How am I going to continue bringing on these guys and encourage them to stay with me when we ain't got no business? They're not out on the streets. They're not making tip. It was a very, very hard time during COVID. And I really had to talk to myself and said, am I going to continue this company? Because I don't think I have enough to really move forward. Right. And so you can just imagine the amount of stress I was under. I was trying to figure it out. I had all these employees. My restaurants were going out of business. They weren't utilizing the valet. I had to figure out something really, really quick.
You had to pivot.
Exactly. I had to pivot. And I remember staying up long nights, 2, 4 in the morning. And I remember just like always looking up COVID and see what's going on. And the one thing I realized that during the pandemic, the one thing that was still moving was real estate development. It was still moving. They figured out how to utilize Zoom. They figured out how to space out the construction workers and apply distance and use, PPP equipment to still get these jobs done. It was still moving. And so what I said was, we were always focused on restaurants and garages. Why not focus on how do we provide value in the real estate development department? And so all those people that Marty introduced me that was saying, Ricardo, we'll get back to you. I was calling them and I was saying, hey guys, what added value we can provide with you? We want to work with you on this development. What could we do? So then what I noticed, some of them were doing underground parking garages. When they were doing underground parking garages, you ever thought of a parking consultant to show you what it looks like for the labor, for the staffing, how to minimize your costs? We knew that. We were in the parking industry. Another developer, I would say, hey, you ever thought about curbside management? You're adding this new building. What does that do to the curb? What does that do to the curb? How does that affect the neighbors? Because there's always a huge effect when it comes to neighbors in the community, especially when you add in 40 units, right? That's going to change the whole infrastructure of cars coming in and out within that particular area. You ever thought about that? How would you like someone like me to talk to the community and tell them what's the positive impact? Because you talking about putting underground parking or taking away resident parking, people aren't going to be happy. But how about let me provide a solution? So when I started saying these things, it started clicking with developers. And at the time, another thing happened. Marty left and he went to the White House. So now when Marty leaves and goes to the White House, we have a new interim mayor.
Who is a Black woman.
Who was a Black woman, Mayor Kim Janey. And when Mayor Kim Janey came into office, things changed.
It's good to me. Go ahead. Keep going, sir. This is one of the best testimony Tuesdays, Jesus.
Things happen. Now, when I approach,
hold on. Let me see let's see what Mayor Marty Walsh says. He gets on my nerves. Great guy. That's all he said. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Kim Janey's in office. So what I said when Kim Janey came into office, for me, it meant representation, right? To see someone that looks like me in that powerful position that's trying to push things forward, I use that as an opportunity to really go in and create value with these developers that became my partners. And so then they said, Ricardo, we would love to diversify our team. And so they started adding me on. And the first group that added me on was the Cronin Group. And we still have that relationship today. And we're still partners with them. Now, the Cronin Group is responsible for the St. Regis that's in Seaport. They're also doing a big development that we're partners on for 24 Dry Dock. And then from there on out, it just started trickling. The great thing about Boston, once you're in, you're in. And it's your job to realize where the value is and how you continue growing these relationships. Because Boston is all about relationships. There's this thing that I say to all my friends and everyone who talks to me. It's not about who you know. It's about who knows you. So the administration changed. Guess what? Things needed to change. And when things needed to change, I was the guy who was consistent, persistent, and who was on top of their mind. And so from there on out, that's how we got into the parking and transportation consulting for real estate developments.
There's a little a couple of just texting a couple of Marty's folks and him and whatnot. Dude, okay, so we're not done yet because this is
Jimmy. I hope Jimmy. You said we only had a half an hour, Jimmy. I can't
meeting. You got a 10 o'clock?
No. We got a good hour. We got a good hour, Jimmy.
An hour from now or an hour from 9?
We an hour from 9. We got a good hour from 9. We could. It's like I said, it's a lot going on, Jimmy. I don't want to focus. I want to make it about the journey. I don't want to go into deep. We want to make it about the journey.
Because the journey has everybody in here.
We didn't even go into the NAACP yet, Jimmy. Which that's the juice. We didn't even go into that yet.
So, couple of my team members are in here, including Anthony and whatnot. I'm sure I'm going to get a little note later, James. We're going to start getting you some bullet points so you can stay focused. But we didn't know that you were going to give a full blown, like, when I say this respectfully, ridiculous, just, oh my God. Okay. So you're known. I will say that because we know that Marty was a part of the solicitation of the NAACP coming here, maybe that's a good transition. You were on the radar. So you now do solutions. You're doing the valet. You're a consultant to high-end sort of condo developers and all this other stuff and restaurants.
So I just want to be clear, because I do want to point it out, because I do want to acknowledge the people that are really opening doors and want to work with.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Right. And so I'm a partner.
Hold on. My mother says, one of the church mothers, she said, testify, Ricardo.
So one of the groups, and I'll mention this just for anyone else who wants to realize who to go to and how to get in basic.
Yes, sir.
The Cronin Group, right? Like I said, they're responsible for the St. Regis, and they're doing a big life science development on 24 Dry Dock, right? The Cronin Group is one particular partner that I'm with. Then I also have WS Development. For you guys who do not know who WS is, WS is responsible for 30% of Seaport being developed, and also for Fenway. They do a lot. And they're also one of my great partners as well. And I'm also on the Fenway redevelopment with them as a parking and transportation consultant. And I'll also be managing the new underground parking garages in Fenway Park. My other newest partner is H1.
Hold on, man. Hold on. You can't keep. We're gonna have to get you some
Jimmy, remember, we gotta push it through, Jimmy.
We got 20 minutes. I'll work it out. We'll get to the NAACP, because the relevance of the NAACP is nothing without, I won't say that, us being able to hear your journey makes because the NAACP is a pre-encapsulation of all the stuff that's coming. I mean, make you sweat, brother. You preaching.
I feel like I'm in church right now.
And Heidi, if Thaddeus was on here, he would say the same thing. Okay, go ahead, sir. So go ahead. Go. And they tell him, oh, they love you. Don't interrupt this. All right, I'll shut up. Go ahead. Do you?
So like I said, those are the three groups that gave me the opportunity to really come in and work with them and really provide partnerships. And because of those particular groups, one of the things I do want to mention is I was able to bring in other local Black businesses that, do event planning and et cetera. And I made those introductions, right? And that's what's important. I think that's what's the most important thing. It's not about my relationships or my partnerships. It's about what do I do with that to impact people that look like me in the city of Boston. Because at the end of the day, if I'm only the one who's getting all the contracts and who's making all the impact, I am no good in this city when it comes to Black and brown people and the Black and brown businesses. And so that's what I preach. Whenever I go into these deals with these developers, I ask for one thing. And the one thing that I ask for, and I make sure I have a real opportunity to do, is to bring in other people to the deal. And so that's where we go to the NAACP. With the NAACP, we had a lot of support. I'll give Shagan his credit. Shagan was there. He threw our name there. He fought for us. He really said, I don't care if we don't have a Black transportation company. We need to make sure someone who's overseeing this contract is Black. And that's when they approached me and they said, Ricardo, you're in parking. You're not in, you don't have buses. How are you going to be able to pull this off? There was a lot of questions. And I said, you're right. I may not have buses and I don't have the actual physical inventory, but the one thing that I do have is the expertise, the tenacity, and the relationships. And with those three things, I'm going to make this happen. So what I did was I found another company in Baltimore, Maryland, who had buses, beautiful buses. I knew about them because we were working on a deal out in Maryland too. And I said, hey guys, I got this opportunity. Do you guys want to be partners with me? We're going to put in a bid, a proposal. We're going to go after this deal because it needs to go to a Black business. They was like, Ricardo, of course, we'll work with you. So we put this proposal together. Mind you, we only had about 5 days to put a proposal together. I got thrown in the mix a little bit late, but we're going to leave that out there.
That's a whole nother Zoom in itself, but go ahead.
That's a whole nother, conversation. But with the support of Meet Boston, and I do want to highlight a couple people from Meet Boston who did a great job. Helene and Michael, yes. Amazing folks. Amazing folks. Listen, if you guys don't know who they are, look them up. These people are serious about diversity, inclusion, and really spreading these contracts. They're serious about it. That organization is serious, and I'm living proof, and I'm telling you they're serious, okay? We were able to put this proposal together and we were able to push it. And the amount of support I got from the city, from the state, from all these different agencies, and Marty, we got support from you too. Thank you from that. We were able to win the contract. And not only were we able to win the contract, they had a follow-up meeting after the NAACP convention. Okay. And we get a call, and we wasn't in the meeting, but this is the call that we got. And it came from Michael Mum. Michael Mum said one of the words that we all agreed upon when it came to private parking services was spectacular. You over exceeded our expectation. You did a spectacular job. So I said, Michael, grateful and very humble, and thank you for those kind words, right? But it's not done. This isn't just a one stop, hey, NAACP was here, we used a Black company, he did a great job. No. Once again, it's about real impact. What other contracts and opportunities are we going to be a part of? And if you can't tell us, that's fine. Let's get a commitment. We want 40% of conventions that come in the city of Boston. There's a whole line of conventions that happening from now to 2036. There's enough business out there that's a whole new book of business. That's a whole new industry that we can tackle and take on. And you know that right now, there's no more questioning. Are we experienced? Can he do it? Is the quality of service good? We checked all those boxes off. So now it's like, what are we going to do now? And we have a meeting with them coming up, and I would love to come back and do a follow-up to see what's going on. And
folks are definitely going to want to see a part 2 of you. So,
we could definitely talk about that. But one of the great things about the NAACP, when I got the contract, we were able to use other Black companies. And I want to spotlight another company, Motherland and Stone. It's a Black-owned business. There's a Black woman that's also part of that business. We were able to give them contracts for special events and move the delegates for the delegates reception. That was one of the things we fought for, guys. I'm not just telling you, I'm not out here just trying to tell you some sugar code or trying to paint this picture. I'm really serious about that. When I do a deal to make sure we can get other people involved. And one of the reasons why I'm passionate about it, because the hardest thing for me when I started my business in Boston was I didn't have the same opportunity where someone that looked like me was able to curve out and open up a contract and say, Ricardo, you know what? This contract is for you. This is for you to start and for you to leverage. I didn't have that opportunity. I had to fight and figure it out. And so knowing how hard that is, knowing how discouraging that is for Black-owned businesses and all the disadvantages that we already have trying to do business in the city of Boston, I took it upon myself to say, you know what? I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy to create opportunities and to fight and say, you know what? They may not be MBE certified, but they're Black-owned businesses. For instance, with the Black Card services, which we also do, we provide Black Cards, right? With NAACP, we move the president, we move Joy Taylor, we move all the celebrities, all the VIP hosts. That was my company. Now we're very limited because we didn't have, 20 Black Card services. But what did I do? I knew people in the Black Card industries that had a Black Card. They were doing Uber and they were working, and I know the quality of work because they drove me sometimes. I said, hey, I got something for you guys. Now they probably thought it was just smoke and mirrors, but when I called them and said, here's a list of people that need to come from the hotels into the airport, tell me what y'all can do, and you tell me how much your fees are, and we're gonna work it out. That's a game changer right there. Yes, because now they're able to spotlight their company. Right. I didn't say, they can pass out their cars. They can grow their business, because at the end of the day, I understand this industry, parking, transportation, and consulting is big enough for all of us. And and we need to get out of this mindset thinking that there's not enough. There's more than enough. There's too much, if anything. And that's the one thing. And that's what I'm very grateful to get the opportunity to work with my development partners like the Cronin Group, WS Development, and HYM, because learning with them, sitting at these meetings and understanding how development work and how they perceive these contracts, right? They're not in it to make money. They're in it to leverage it, to continue moving forward. And guess what? When they're doing their deals, they bring in their team. And their teams are the one who's doing the general contracting, the electricing, whatever it may be. And we need to get that same program and that same thought process when it comes to doing business and really fighting and winning these contracts. And so I'm just applying the same thing that I see my partners applying. There's no difference between me and between them. They're doing the same exact thing I'm doing. It's just that they had a lot more advantages doing it and getting the contracts than I did. But all that is changing.
So this brother was one of the most amazing, inspiring, motivating, mobilizing conversations I've done in the past 3.5 years. And so many nuggets to extract. But my mother, my mother said she wants you to do a Java After Dark. And what Java After Dark is, it's a little less filtered. It's not Monday through Thursday at 9. We can have those real conversations about some of the struggles or whatever. But this, listen, they people are talking about you need to do business courses, you need to go to Boston Public School Committee. So what I'm going to do before folks stop booking you is I need you to hold October 7th. It's a Saturday. Yep. Indigenous Peoples Day weekend, October 7th from 10 to 3, 11 to 3. We're going to do the Black Men's Wellness Summit. Okay. And I would love for you to come and be one of our speakers, if not keynote. And so if you could hold that date, and don't go speak for nobody else before. They know how I am here. No, in all seriousness, I really appreciate you. And as I thought, the NAACP, if you notice, there was so much meat in there of the process and what you did with that. But it was before the NAACP that has captivated everybody. And hearing, and I didn't really correlate the testimony. We're highlighting Black businesses, so we moved away from our daily themes. But brother, sir, this is from getting in with Marty, though the convention was canceled for 2020, the time that you did at the law firm to give you enough familiarity and a foundation to know what was going on. Yeah, I really don't have anything else to say outside of the fact that y'all need to go follow this brother on Instagram at RickyPL12. And also to find out more information about Privé Parking, go to privéparkingboston.com. And you know, if you're having an event, a wedding, you're doing something,
we do it all.
Listen, if you're getting ready to, I mean, any and everything that has to do with parking, somebody typed in here, you need to look and expand your logistics piece beyond the parking. Folks like me in the Davis system would be honored to partner with. Well, yeah, we'd be honored to partner with you on some stuff. If somebody's having some event and they need some logistics or communications, like yeah, man, we'll and P3 is in the room.
Reverend Dream, there we go. Jeffrey Brown,
my good friend. Yep, he jumps on like twice a year.
He's we gonna get him to jump on more. We gonna get him to jump on more. But Reverend Jeffrey Brown's an amazing partner. You know, just to see him grow in the real estate development space. That brother is serious. That brother is serious.
Yep.
You don't see a lot of guys like him. Stand-up guy, really understands the real impact. He's really out here making a difference. And I'm happy to be his partner on this project. Him and Tom O'Brien.
Yes.
Just a great team. You know, that project, you know, we making history, man. That's all I gotta say. We making history. That's all I gotta say.
That's a whole nother Zoom in itself.
That's a whole nother conversation. But you know, Jimmy, one of the things I do want to echo, and you know, I can't say this enough, Jimmy. I remember being in high school, and they would bring in guest speakers, right? And you know, right before you're a senior, they bring in these motivational speakers, and they talk about life, and they talk about things you could do, and you know, they're talking about all these amazing things, right? I went to a college prep high school because I played sports. I was a football player, and majority of the students that attended this high school were either athletes or was on an academic scholarship. Okay, so that just gives you an understanding on the people of color that were in this high school. And when they would bring these motivational speakers, Jimmy, great speakers. But do you know what really was hard for me to identify with? They didn't look like me. They didn't look like me, Jimmy. And I'm very involved. I'm also a board member of United Neighbors Lower Roxbury. It's a nonprofit community-based organization here in Roxbury. I'm the board treasurer. And the best thing I did when I started my company, I was a volunteer because of Bill Singleton. And then I ended up becoming a member, and I'm the board treasurer. And we're doing a development on 90 Windsor Street that I'm really grateful and just honored to be a part of, because the best thing I did was join that nonprofit community-based organization because it taught me so much history that happened here in Boston, particularly in Roxbury in the South End. And when I hear about these tragic things that the city of Boston did during those times to people of color when it comes to home ownership and just the displacement, right? It's just like, how could this happen? This got to be a movie, right? But this really happened here in Boston. And this goes back to, me being in high school and listening to this motivational speaker and telling me you can do it. And I did it this way. And the reality is, Jimmy, when you get out there and you're trying to chase your dream and you're someone of color, right? It's hard to imagine because there's no representation. And it hasn't been representation for a long time. And so one of the things that I echo, and one of the things that I'm really passionate about is really encouraging the youth, people younger than me, right? I'm in my early 30s, Jimmy. I've done some things and I'm very still beginning stage of my journey. But no one knows that because the millennials and before and after us, we look at it as success as basketball, an athlete, entertainment, or making a lot of money by doing some whimsical new innovation, right? It's okay to be a small business owner. It's okay to really understand you want to be independent financially, right? And that's what's important. We don't see enough entrepreneurs that are spotlighted that are doing things. And that needs to change. We need to see more entrepreneurs because you can live a good life. You can provide, financial stability, whatever it is you want to do, whether you're in the ice cream industry, the parking industry, the real estate development industry, the tech industry. We need to see more of that. And we don't. And so we get so caught up on, I need to make it how social media tells me to make it. Nah, brother, you could live a good life being an entrepreneur. You can live an amazing life because a lot of these real estate developers, they start off entrepreneurs and then they segue their ways into different industries, just like I did. I started off a valet parking company. Today, we're a lot bigger than that, but I started. And so I want people to start and I want people to hear the story and I want people to understand you just got to start. And once you start, you'll figure it out. There's not enough of us starting. We need to start.
Similar to what my brother is saying here, and Heidi said earlier, don't limit yourself to just transportation because you seem like you have the potential and drive to do more things. And so that logistics piece, I can see you getting into some point partnering with Rosemark and Aisha around event, planning, and just again, keep my good brother who's here, Anthony Davis and Java with Jim. Well, effective strategies, which is the other end of what we do, in line as well. Or in mind rather, but just got a ton of inspiration from this conversation, ready to go run through a wall to make my dream.
He's already running through walls. What is he talking about? He's already running through walls.
Listen, any come up of in the last couple of months that folks observe right now is due to them, Anissa, and like the whole Davis system team. And they're the reason, sir, that when we were thinking businesses, they were like, yeah, you need to bring Brother Ricardo on. And so I have this belief that and it's funny, do you know a young man by the name of Juan David Lozano? No, he went to UMass Dartmouth, and so y'all are around the same age. Brother Mike Massey is in the room. If you don't know this brother, you need to meet this brother because I could see y'all partnering and you bringing him into some of them developers for them to calm down and do yoga and just stay focused. But I forgot what I was going to say that quick because there's just
you talking about my brother at UMass Dartmouth.
Brother at UMass. I was just going to ask if you knew my son, but there is so much that has come and can be extracted from this conversation, man. And so I encourage you, to figure out what's going to be next and what you're going to do next. Please keep us abreast. Come on, anytime.
Let me just share real quick. What's next? I just want to share what's next. What's next?
Okay, go ahead.
Next, okay. Jimmy, I'm based in Roxbury. Do you know how far it is from Roxbury to Seaport?
I want to say about 6 miles and maybe if traffic is okay, 13, 18 minutes.
It's less than 6 miles, Jimmy. It's about 2.7 miles away from Nubian Square to the industrial Raymond Flynn.
Yeah.
And it's about between, depending on time and day, it can take you anywhere between 10 to 15 minutes to 25 to 30 minutes, right?
Yeah.
Anyone who lives in Newby and Roxbury and rely on public transportation, which most of us do, because to go to pay to park to pay in Seaport right now is $45 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no, listen, I'm in the park industry and I'm not paying $45 a day to park, right? So if you rely on public transportation, this is one way, Jimmy, from Nubian Square to Seaport can take you anywhere between 50 to an hour and 15 minutes just to get to Seaport.
Yep.
Jimmy, we could go on a whole conversation and take that walk to Seaport and we'll get there in about 25 minutes to a half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is we can't do that. We're in Boston. The weather is not the best. When it's cold, nobody's taking that walk. When it's raining, it doesn't make sense, right? So what does that mean? If you look at Seaport, Seaport has shuttles that run all throughout Seaport, okay? These shuttles go to Fenway, Back Bay, South End.
Anthony, go ahead. I'm sorry. Anthony knows why I'm screaming Anthony. Come on.
All these other areas, okay? Why isn't we don't have shuttles that come in on this side of town? And when I mean this side of town, Roxbury, Dorchester, Hyde Park, Mattapan, JP. They were able to figure it out how to do it on that side. The same model that they use, we can do it on this side. Nubian Square is the hub. You can get to Nubian Square from all these particular neighborhoods. Okay. You want to know why there's a shortage on employee retention in Seaport? You want to know why Seaport Omni is struggling to keep their employees and a lot of these restaurants are keeping these employees? The talent is right here in Roxbury and all these other areas I literally just mentioned. The talent is right here. But guess what? If we don't have affordable, reliable transportation, I don't care. Nobody wants to work in Seaport. Now, Seaport is considered the innovation district. You got all the big life tech companies, the biotech companies there, and I'm happy that they're there. But what I'm not happy is how they disregard to realize there's talent on this side of town and they need to create real shuttle opportunities. Matter of fact, they can subsidize these shuttles if they really want to. And so what we're doing with the Cronin Group is we're working on something called the Nubian Shuttle. And the Nubian Shuttle will be shuttles that operate from Nubian Square.
Hold on. Are you making an announcement here on Java with Jimmy?
I'm telling you, that's what we're working on.
Okay, go ahead.
We're going to do a Nubian Shuttle. And the Nubian Shuttle is going to be for people that can get to Nubian Square. We're going to test it. We're going to do a pilot program because we want to show the real impact that it has with the numbers, right? They can do what they want to do. But the thing is, we're going to connect Roxbury to Seaport, and we're going to start off with the transportation piece. Once we can get that transportation piece, then that's when we can leverage it and go into different industries and different platforms. But that's what the main issue is transportation. It's not reliable, efficient, direct transportation from Nubian Square into Seaport. They're struggling right now, and it's going to get tougher. But this is a priority that they need to work on. And I'm encouraging everyone, all these developers, all these big organizations in Seaport to really understand what we're trying to do and to join the crowd. Because guess what? People aren't moving to Seaport. People are moving here. And they need to understand that. And the talent is here. And so we're working on that with our partners, the Cronin Group. And we're not looking just to do Nubian Square Seaport. We're looking to do shuttles all throughout.
Smart, Eggleston. Oh,
there you go.
Have mercy, Jesus. Okay, so you're connected to the Davis system. I'm a supporter, and they are part of, and they handle some logistics for something called the Boston Waterfront Coalition. And one of the things that we've been talking about, and I'm sure you know Willie Broderick, he's probably involved with this Nubian Square piece. We've talked about access. It's not always that people don't want to go. What you cited in the data earlier about the 50 minutes to an hour and a half to get there, like the coalition is encouraging people to go and they want to, but accessibility is definitely an issue. And so as you were kind of talking about the idea and announcing the Nubian Square to Seaport thing, I'm like, oh my God, that's why I scream Anthony, because we have been talking about making it easy for people to go, so, oh Jesus, now you got mother in here praying, Father, keep opening those doors for Ricardo in Jesus' name.
Making it happen. Thank you.
You done become a instant son to the Java fam, bro. This Anthony Davis system, all y'all, thank you for introducing me to this brother, because I left challenged, along with inspired. I left challenged. There's an excellence that exudes from you, and it's definitely a good challenge. And also thank you for citing some of the struggles and things that we deal with as entrepreneurs, because it is interesting. I know it's 10:03. You probably got stuff to do. I think I'm actually supposed to be on a Zoom for something at 10 o'clock. So I really appreciate you, man. Know that you're going to see some clips and stuff popping up all over social media.
Thank you.
And folks are coming in, talk about how proud of you they are.
Thank you.
It
Thank
is
you. I appreciate it. It's not we just starting. We're not done. We're just starting. And when I say we, I mean me and my team and others. This is going to be a collective group. It's not just one person. It's all of us, and all of us coming together. Where, like I said, we are changing the way Black businesses contract and Black businesses get recruited in Boston.
Before October 7th, and we can do it via email, whatever, but make sure I get your number. And
Yes.
because folks are even asking, do you mentor? So this might be you can start a subscription service with an app where once a day you're sending. Listen, we'll talk, brother.
Jimmy, it's 24 hours in a day. I got to build this, and I'm breaking down these walls, Jimmy. We got to figure it out. Like I said, there's a lot to do. There's definitely a lot to do. We're gonna figure it out. There's a lot to do, but yeah, like I said, Jimmy, it was amazing. Thank you for having me on your show. This is actually the first time I really got an opportunity to really talk about everything I just been so busy working, and I'm not really into, I don't want the limelight. I just want the results. I care more about the results than the limelight.
Yes, sir.
And so that's the type of guy that I am. But it was great for people. I'm happy with the positive feedback. That means a lot. It really does. And as entrepreneurs, I think one of the things people kind of fail to realize is it's lonely up top.
Well, yeah, it's lonely in that space often.
Lonely in that space.
Especially.
So when you hear people that really acknowledge what you're doing and they really are just proud and they're giving you your flowers, it means a lot. We don't do that enough to other entrepreneurs. We need to do that more. And so I thank you for everyone with all the kind words and all just the inspirational comments and feedback. But we're not done. I'm serious. We're not done. It's not just me. There's other brothers out here and sisters that are doing amazing things. I'm happy to collab with them and get the opportunity to meet them. If you know anyone who wants to collab or talk or meet, I'm here for that. If I have this time and I can squeeze you in, I'll squeeze you in, because I know someone who's listening to this or someone who has a conversation with me, you never know what can happen from that.
Bruh.
And I got these relationships and the book of knowledge, not just for me. I got it to share. And so please utilize it as much as possible. Jimmy, me and you going to exchange contact.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, I would love to just, and especially the youth, Jimmy, if there's any opportunities where I can come in and really share my story or really, give them a real scope, the truth, what it's going to take, what it means to really, fight through this city. I'll be more than happy to share my story and provide some strategies and things that I did to really position myself to get these contracts and these opportunities. And I'm passionate about that. And I would enjoy doing that.
That's why we got you booked for the 7th. So hold that date, put it in your Outlook or whoever, if I need to hit your admin or someone to handle your calendar, just let us know and hold on to the 7th, sir, because
I got it. We already wrote it down. Yeah.
Those brothers need to hear your story, and we'll be reaching out to do a sort of interview with you from the mental health perspective, your journey around mental health. Yeah. And so I appreciate you, man. This is one of the longest. Sharon, go ahead and tell the people that they get an hour and a half. There's a program that some viewers are signed up with that they get points as a community service of watching Java with Jimmy. So we're over an hour. Y'all get y'all 90 minutes, right, Sharon? Brother, I'll let you go. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Happy Tuesday. Thank you. It was an honor. Thank you.
Listen, y'all. I ain't got too much to say. I don't have too much to say. Listen, let me just tell y'all, listen, these past couple of days, and I have to observe that both of them, him and Naisha from yesterday, and also today, we're trying to go in the finance industry. So if you're watching right now and you're pulling your hair out and you're studying you know what? Let me back that up, because they both went through that experience and it informs. Had he not went into finance and did that 6 months in the firm, he wouldn't have had the foundation and knowledge to go talk to the developers about what's going on post or COVID. So listen, that brother, y'all. All right, let me just get up who is scheduled to come in tomorrow. Let me tell y'all how wonderful it is to have confidence in a team. And I've had confidence before, but they do this. This is their logistics. To just get up and be like, okay, that's who's coming on in the morning. So, okay. That's next week. Watch out for the flyer later to let us know. We'll let y'all know who's scheduled to come on tomorrow. And Heidi, use that. Heidi, I hope you got some inspiration from what you stepped into today, and don't quicken. This brother, listen, and it's good to see my brother, Mike Massey in the room. Love you, man. I need to come see you. Bad. I've been saying it for about 2 months. But that's it for me this morning. I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. And that is basically it. I listen. I don't have too much more to say. Have a great day. Despite what you're dealing with, despite the tests that are going on in your life, remember that you've got through the other things and you're still here. So keep that in mind on this Tuesday, this Testimony Tuesday. Have a great day, everybody. Heidi, me too. Like crazy. His business integrity was very like his acumen is just ridiculous. That's the challenging part that I was saying for me. That it was just crazy. It was real good. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Have a great day. And tell somebody about that.